Hello everybody and welcome to Mondoid, your one-stop shop for all things Project Zomboid, and this week, things what we're doing. I can't help but read what like an English bastard. What we're doing. This blog, relatively short, though it does have some neat things in it that I'd like to talk about. Thankfully, it's not just another puppy blog, as they do point out early on. So, let's just get down to it. Let's just talk about it. I'm not going to dilly-dally too long about, oh, well, this is going to be a wonderful blog. So, first and foremost, as you can see, I've actually watched this already. We'll just go ahead and hit this and that. All right, so, first thing, they are introducing zombie corpse burning. Now, you might be asking, Mathis, why is this important? And this is actually very important. So, one of the things they introduced in this latest build was the ability to move corpses, right? You can actually clean up your house and make things look better. Now they're introducing the zombie corpse burning mechanic. And you might be wondering, well, that's kind of cool, Mathis. You know, hey, look, I can get rid of the corpses and my house can look pretty and make it look the way I want. You know, that's neat. But why are we worried about that? Well, one of the things that the Indie Stone has always wanted to do, and I've talked about it, is introduce the idea of disease and just kind of like pestilence, etc., within the game. But you can't really introduce disease with the corpses lingering for so long if there's no way to dispose of them. So, step one was to introduce the ability to move a corpse. Step two, burn the corpse. Now, both of these very simple things are within the game. They can start looking at implementing disease in the game. So if you have corpses lying around your house for too long, rotting corpses, no doubt, your character will catch a disease, will get sick, will die from that. It's something more to worry about as you attempt to survive in this shitty shithole of a world. Now that these two mechanics are in, the Indie Stone can now start to think about and develop the disease mechanism to put in the game. It's just another idea, it's another mechanic to make survival much more difficult. And then you can also think of all the other ramifications it can have. For instance, in multiplayer, you need to burn these corpses, right? They're a huge problem. But if you burn them at night, you give away your position. People know there's somebody nearby, and it can have all kinds of other implementations and whatnot in the multiplayer scene. Single player, not so much until NPCs come around, and then they become a bit more different. But as far as it is right now, it opens up that doorway to death and disease, which again, once is implemented, is going to drastically change the landscape of how this game is played. Other than that, they just talk a little bit about the map. So the map this right here, is what they have inside. You can kind of figure out what's where. So over here is West Point. Down here is Muldrow. We've got ourselves the mall and everything up here. And this part, it looks like this is how big they maybe want to make the initial map, you know, upon release or something. This is in progress. This is in progress. This is barely started, and presumably this hasn't even been started yet. Oh my, this just might be water. So this will just be water, and then there'd be nothing else here. So this will be the map, you know, sans modification. And that thing is gigantic. One of the things I'm excited for is once this map is fully finished, jumping onto a server that's hosting maybe 100 or so people and jumping into this world where survival has been struggling for real life months, and now we're in a you know, we jump into this huge map where finding nigglings of like treasure and civilization throughout this huge map would be something to search for, to get excited for, because the map is so huge. It's cool. It's really cool, and I'm excited to see how like the big city actually ends up being, because again, though we have Muldrow as the quote-unquote big city, once we have something like the city in the game, you're looking at, you know, a very loot-rich area with also humongous zombie density. And again, such simple implementations into a survival simulation game really do drastically change the landscape of how the game is played. And simply introducing a city can drastically change how you play the game, particularly if you're one like me who likes to play the game on super rare loot. Then the city becomes incredibly important, because now, hey, I don't have much to loot from. I don't have many places I can actually go to. I'm out of food. I've been surviving for X number of months or years in the game. The only place I can go is the city. And now, going to the city means I have to risk my life and potentially end my survival run. And just, again, implementing the city mechanic really does change up the landscape quite a bit. Something I think I would like to see once the city is implemented is making resources outside of the city even more scarce. force the player to make those difficult decisions. So as of right now, if loot was to remain the way it is now, even on extremely rare, I would have no problem surviving months, if not years, before even touching the city. But on a single player playthrough, it might be, it could be a long time before you jump into the city. But then again, I just actually kind of cut myself off in my speech there because the thought came in, well, once we have NPCs in the game, actually, having extremely rare loot really does affect it. I'm thinking without NPCs. So actually, as it is, with NPCs, put NPCs into the game, the city then becomes important, and putting that city in the game really does change how you play. Anyway, I'm excited for it. Again, simple map additions with a higher ranking danger kind of scale really brings some interesting thoughts into the way I play. And that's it. That's all there is to it. So a couple of things to look at in a video. I suggest you go watch how the zombie burning works because it's obviously in testing and it looks pretty functional so far. I'm excited for it because that just means disease is on the way. But a pretty good Mondoid. Again, it's we're getting on with it kind of Mondoid, but there's still some information which I do appreciate. So if you enjoyed this, I hope you come back next week. So if you're a once a weeker, I'll see you next week. If you're a regular, I will see you later today. And as always, I'll see all of you next time. Bye-bye.